publicly traded companies, it can be recognized by investors as a source of boosting confidence. We believe that because of the quality of leadership in this company, they are more likely to deliver results. That's what you want investors and customers to do. So if you Google the words leader and leadership, you get almost 1 billion responses. And that's a good definition of concept clutter. So the world just really doesn't need more leadership theories. And when you dig another layer into those theories, about 99% of them are about leadership attributes. And I would define leadership attributes being the know, be, and do of leadership. Things like authenticity, listening skills, trust, and so on. So, and I believe that leadership attributes are not enough to be an effective leader. They're half the story. So a few years ago, my colleague Dave Ulrich and I co-authored a book called Results-Based Leadership with a very simple premise. The formula for effective leadership is attributes times results. So note the multiplier in the formula. That means that if either side, either attributes or results, is low, then the other side is really impacted. By results in this formula, we mean not only financial results, but customer results, investor results, employee results, community results. And so that formula gives us a really simple exercise to evaluate the extent to which we think people are good leaders that get results. So think of a political leader, and I'll pick one in the U.S. I'll pick two in the U.S. as an example, and use the leadership formula of attributes times results. Let's say that 1 is low and 10 is high on both sides. So for illustrative purposes, let's pick Jimmy Carter, who was president when I was pretty young. And I see Jimmy as a leader with very high attributes: honest, great character. You know, he talked about thinning in his heart. How do you get better than that? High intelligence. So you might give him a 9 on attributes, 9 out of 10. But his results were not nearly as good. I remember a time as a very young man when there was 17, 18% mortgage interest rates. He had a guns for hostages problem and so on. So I'll give him a 3 on results. So Jimmy's leadership score was 9 times 3, or 27 out of 100. Not a great score. Clearly, what he would have to do to become a better leader during his presidency would be to get better results. And now, while President Obama was in office, I was asked by the Washington Post to write an article to rate him as a leader before he was elected, and then when he was up for re-election in his second term. Personally, I liked Obama and thought he had great attributes, great speaker, very intelligent. So I gave him an 8 on attributes, and I gave him an 8 on results as well. So in my assessment, he was a pretty strong leader while he was president, and rates an 8 times 8, or a 64 out of 100. So obviously, if you really don't trust a leader and you give them a 0 on attributes or a 0 on results, that really impacts the score. The leader becomes a 0, very ineffective. So this is a very simple and effective formula for ensuring that a leader gets both results and has attributes. And it helps to crystallize what we want from our leaders and to identify where we want ourselves as a leader to improve. So typically the focus on leadership has been about how to be a good individual leader inside your business. And this logic has led to many conversations about whether someone is a leader or a manager. For example, leaders are visionary, managers are tactical, and so on. However, we see 2 trends that really change that conversation. The first trend is about not just individual leaders, but also about organizational leadership. So individuals I'll refer to as leaders. And when we build organization capability through systems around individuals, we create leadership. So, and I would argue that leadership is more important than leaders. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The second trend, so the first trend, individual to organizational, or leader to leadership. And the second trend is about inside and outside. So every business faces a number of internal challenges. How do we get things done? How do we develop our employees and so on? But there are also external stakeholders to every business. It has customers, investors, the community, and so on. And if you put these two trends together, you create 4 quadrants. So every consultant has a 4 box. Quadrant 1, becoming a better leader. So this is the quadrant where individual leaders focus inside the business to be more effective. These leaders improve their behaviors or competencies to become better leaders to internal stakeholders, employees and line managers and so on. And in quadrant 1, HR professionals usually start to build competency models that describe the behavioral expectations for what effective leaders do. Look at quadrant 2, leadership systems. This is inside the company and organizational. So we'll call that leadership systems. It's a shift to organizational leadership inside the business. For example, how do we use the leadership competency model that we created in quadrant 1 to start to build a business-wide performance management system or to build 360 feedback tools using the competency model? Okay, let's go to quadrant 3. We call that the celebrity leader. This quadrant is for individual leaders who are known by external stakeholders, such as customers and investors. And usually they are senior executives who have built a reputation for building other businesses, and so are able to attract capital and create customer interest. A celebrity leader can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what he or she does. A celebrity leader with high external visibility who goes to jail or is accused of assault is not good, and the focus gets on the company, not just the celebrity leader. So companies can also become dependent on celebrity leaders, and when they leave or die, the stock price usually goes down because the company's been dependent on them as individual leaders. Quadrant 4 is leadership brand. So leadership brand quadrant is where you have leadership at every level that has the confidence of external stakeholders. When we looked at top companies for leaders that was published every couple of years in Fortune magazine, that was the criteria that we used for many years. The criteria was finding companies who built leadership systems that created confidence in the future from both internal and external stakeholders. So leadership brand is what a company should aspire to. And in publicly traded companies, it can be recognized by investors as a source of boosting confidence. We believe that because of the quality of leadership in this company, they are more likely to deliver results. That's what you want investors and customers to think. Greater confidence in the future generates a higher price to earnings multiple and translate into really huge economic value. So I've been working on helping people and organizations improve performance for many years in some of the largest and most successful companies, including Pepsi, Harley-Davidson, Nike, and Exxon, as well as many lesser known and smaller businesses such as biotechs and techs and mid-caps even. And I bring that experience to my speeches. I think I know what it is that enable people in organization to improve their lives and to improve the value that they give to their stakeholders. So I want people to leave with practical tools that they can use. I want to have an impact on your individual leadership and the leadership of your business so that you get better financial, customer, investor, employee, and community results. And I really look forward to meeting you.